Welcome to the latest edition of The Bulletin. My name's Francis Leach. It's our weekly look at events for Australian unions, and I'm joined by the President of the Australian Council of Trade Unions, Michele O'Neil. Michele, how are you?
Hi Francis, I'm good. It's been another week, but I'm doing well.
It has been a big week. Sally McManus at the National Press Club, and figures came out this week which once again underlined the issue that you, Sally, and everyone in the movement have been talking about, and that is the number of people who have to work more than one job to earn a living. And we're at that stage now that's not enough to earn a living. It really is crisis point in that sort of insecure work environment.
Look, this is shocking, these figures. This is a crisis because so many workers now, 900,000, nearly 1 million Australians having to do multiple jobs, like 2, 3 or 4 jobs just to get by. And it's not because people are going, oh, I'd like to do this job and this job and this job. It's literally because they can't earn enough in one job to be able to meet the costs of living. I met this amazing woman earlier this year called Ruby, and she was in Cairns, and she was an aged care worker, a disability care worker, and worked as a care worker in a hospital. Her co-workers in the aged care told me how good she was at her job. Like, she's fantastic, and she loved it and would have preferred just to have that job, but she couldn't earn enough. She was a single mum. And so she was forced to do these multiple jobs, trying to juggle different hours, different times, all just to be able to earn enough to feed her and her kids.
So how have we got to this situation where we have nearly 1 million Australians, about 6% of the total workforce, in this situation where they have to work multiple jobs? And because of the cost of living crisis, that ain't enough at the moment to do everything you want to do to make your family feel secure and looked after.
Well, it's because we've got a system that really works for employers but not for workers. And so many bosses describe this as, oh, this is all about flexibility, but it's one-way flexibility. You know, this is not the sort of flexibility workers are looking for. In fact, it's really inflexible, because how do you plan and organise your life where if you're in a casual job, you don't know how many hours you're going to get, or even a part-time job with just minimum hours, and then you get asked to do more all the time. You can't plan your life, you can't organise your kids, you can't organise ever to have holidays and be able to do the things that you need to be able to properly do to have a good quality of life. And so it's because we've got laws that treat people as casual even when they're really permanent workers. So we need a much better definition of casual. Also, labour hire jobs where they're used to sort of undercut permanent jobs. Again, insecure work, you don't know how it's going to go, how long it's going to go for. And also contract jobs that are just these consecutive rolling contracts without ever getting access to leave. So you don't have annual leave, you don't have sick leave, you don't know how many hours you're going to get, you don't know how much you're going to earn. So it just shows how we really need some important changes to our laws that put some balance and fairness back into it.
Yeah, that allows some people who do want that flexibility, as it's called, to have it, but other people who are in that situation, emotionally exhausted, financially stressed. And the other thing about it is it works for bosses too, because if you're not in the same workplace, working with a bunch of people, hard to organise, hard to be in a union, hard to bargain for a better deal. And that suits them down to the ground, doesn't it?
It's about power. Like, it really means that the power is all one way. And you're right, like, how do you get to build those relationships, say, hold on a minute, you know, like, let's get together and try and make this a better, fairer place to work. If you're hardly ever there and, you know, you're moving between jobs so much and you're always looking for the next hour or roster just to boost up your pay, like, it's a really desperate way to live. And it's not the sort, when you think about Australia and the sort of country we are and how relatively rich we are compared to a whole lot of the world, the fact that we've let this creep in to our system where it's leaving workers today, and Sally talked about this at the press club, leaving workers today facing having lesser pay and conditions than the generations that came before us. Now, we've got to be having the opposite legacy. We want to leave our kids and our grandkids with better rights and conditions, not worse.
Before I let you go, you spoke recently at a really important conference in relation to the new green economy and the opportunity it presents for good, stable jobs, the sort of jobs that we're talking about that aren't existing at the moment, but this is an opportunity, is it not, to sort of press reset on some of this stuff?
Yeah, the Victorian Trades Hall Council had a climate conference that I spoke at, and It was important because it was talking about that, first of all, we've got to think about how essential it is to deal with the climate crisis. And that does mean that we have to move to renewable energy, and Australia's a decade behind a whole lot of the world because we had a government that had their head in the sand around this and refused to do what was in the interest of working people and our climate and the globe. And so we've got a lot of catch up to do. One of the things that there's real potential for is to build new good quality jobs. And you think of the workers that are working in the fossil fuel industry, they understand what's happening around the globe much better than nearly anyone else does. They know what's going on, but also they know that they fought, and they're often their family members and union members before them fought to make those jobs well paid and safer jobs and secure jobs. So then they rightly want to make sure that with the change that we build good, secure, unionised, fair, safe jobs in the new industries of the future, and that they're in those communities so that there's a bridge. You know, you can't say, oh, just trust us, there'll be a job there one day. We've got to build great renewable energy jobs. We can do that in Australia. We've got all of the resources that allow us to do that, both in terms of power generation and mining, but also manufacturing what we need here for the future. We really could do great things. We did a report that showed we could create 400,000 jobs if we got this right just in the next few years. But they've got to be jobs that people can rely on. So that was what I was talking about, getting it right so that those jobs are being created now.
Exciting opportunity, but the work has to be done. It has to be done properly. One way, be involved. AustralianUnions.org.au. Join your union, and you can be part of a bright new future where those secure, good jobs exist. Michele, thank you very much for being with us on The Bulletin.
Thanks, Francis. Thanks, everyone.
And we'll catch you on the next edition.